Yeah. I like this hierarchical model, by the way, this idea that, social change, because societies and social phenomena are multi-level phenomena. They're grounded in part in human nature and individual personalities, and they also have a set of causes that operate at a higher level of organization that are social, and then even broader than that, you've got historical factors and other, even maybe global factors at some point. Geopolitical stuff can have an impact on the color of our lives. So the hierarchy is there. It's probably a mistake to think that that the root cause is at one level or the other, right? So it's probably a mistake, and I think maybe those of us who were really keen on rationality, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, critical self-reflection, our mistake when we make a mistake is thinking there's putting too much emphasis on the individual and modeling change, thinking of driving social change by driving individual change first, as though it had to be bottom up like that. So that's this kind of change one heart, one mind at a time approach, and the whole thing will spread. And the reality is probably that they have this multi-level phenomenon. And when you do political activism also at the higher levels, at the group level, that can have these dramatic, fast changes, like how quickly, for example, gay marriage became a minority view to a majority view within the U.S. context. A small number of years after many decades of social work, how quickly, most recently, the Black Lives Matter movement in relationship to that, it came up over the past few months during the pandemic, and how that has produced this sort of phase change in social attitude or social norms, about large cultural groups now signing on to the need for some kind of a reform in their practices and their attitudes. Bam! It's like there was a social tipping point, right, that happened. And it may well be that these individual relationships where we're sort of changing one heart, one mind at a time is a necessary, maybe precondition, but it's not sufficient in some cases. That is, social dynamics play a role here. There's sort of a collective, it's part of our tribal identity. We are sensitive to how the rest of our social tribes feel. And if everyone in my group says it's okay to do that now, all of a sudden, boom, a switch goes on, because I'm responding. My social IQ is that now all of a sudden what used to be a risky stance to take is now socially acceptable.
Oh, that's a really good point. That's a really good point, because it's not necessarily always top down or bottom up. It's coming from both ends. But at the same time, I think about how, society, this is how you should think, this is what you should believe, right? And like you were saying, if our entire tribe changes their ideology or way of thinking, then we adopt that because we are part of that tribe. However, I think that it's also important for us to understand why and come from a deeper level so we can start to embody that.